2024 is slated to be the warmest year on record, 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. Climate scientists have been telling us all these numbers, right? For example, in 2050, Idaho is projected to be burning 10 times the amount of area previously. By 2100, Idaho is projected to be 10 to 15 degrees Fahrenheit hotter under a higher emission standards. I can tell you these numbers all day long, and that's what climate scientists have been doing for decades and decades and decades, yet systemic change has not happened, right? So why is that? And this is what my research is trying to do, is I try to flip it on its head and take it into the classroom with our students, right? At the University of Idaho, 60% of our students are first gen and 66% are from Idaho in these small communities that are drastically affected by global climate change, right? For example, in the top left-hand corner, one of my students, I challenged them to make squares for a quilt that were stitching together. And what he did is he took the climate science data of the changing migratory pathways and hand embroidered the ways in which their pathways are going to be changing over the next century, given the specific geographical context in which the climate will be changing, whether it be extreme heat or changing precipitation, right? But what is not pictured here is the other cohort of students that I teach. And that's our incarcerated students at the University of Idaho and the Pocatello and Orofino prisons. When we think about those that are most vulnerable to climate change, we can think about our Idahoan communities, but we also need to think about incarcerated folks. Hurricane Milton that was barging into Florida that reached Category 5, evacuation notices were being spread throughout the state, but 21,000 incarcerated people were forced to stay in place, being given a death sentence, basically. So I think that we need to give the agency back to those that are incarcerated so we can learn from them about how to build more just climate futures. And for what I'm doing with these students is I give them the climate data, I give them the solutions, and I ask them to write fictitious stories into the future, 2050, 2100, about how we can build better futures and imagining the ways in which we can radically change our energy grid, our transportation systems, and the ways in which we gather food, right? At the core of what I'm trying to do with the incarcerated students and our on-campus students is researching the ways we can radically change our climate change pedagogy to change our climate futures, not only for our students, our local communities, our local farmers, our local lands that Idaho has to offer. Thank you.